Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway. Save a trip to the doctor and let their pharmacists test and prescribe your medicines. From strep throat to birth control to UTIs and migraines. Stop into the store or schedule online at safeway.com/pharmacy.
The weather's heating up, and so maybe our summer flings. If you're on the hunt, tonight in Denver at Vesper Lounge, it's Pitch a Friend, a part pride party, part matchmaking event. People do PowerPoint presentations and make a 5-minute case for why their friends deserve a spicy summer romance. Pie charts and bar graphs are welcome. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. Coming up, Colorado is running out of money to cover free meals at public schools. Voters will decide what happens next.
Far more kids took advantage of the program than anticipated.
Then you could get money to help protect your home from wildfires.
We need to stop thinking about fire as a problem that just happens out in the middle of the woods.
Plus, it is time to meet your new royalty. A king and queen have been crowned.
I just want to help create events like these and just invite everybody, all my friends, to dance.
It's Tuesday, June 10th. Here's what's happening in Colorado today. First, here's an update on a story you heard on yesterday's episode. This is about the state official who filed a lawsuit against Governor Polis. The Labor Department official wants Polis to back off his order that the state share information about immigration sponsors with federal authorities. The official is Scott Moss, and he says turning over the sensitive information to ICE would violate state law. Specifically at issue are the personal details of 35 people who have sponsored unaccompanied immigrant kids. Polis has defended his actions, saying ICE plans to use the information to investigate whether those kids are being trafficked. Well, the lawsuit had a hearing yesterday, and we learned that Polis has agreed to put his order on pause. Moss and other employees won't be required to hand over any data for at least 2 weeks. That's when attorneys for Moss and Polis will meet again in court. And the judge yesterday made it clear he's hesitant to make any judgment himself, at least until he hears from federal immigration agents make their case on why they need the personal information they've demanded. This fall, you see a new question on your ballot, asking you whether you want to fund free school meals for all Colorado public school students. Now, I know what you're thinking. We just did that a few years ago. And you're right, we did. But now the free lunch program is struggling. This year, they're expecting a $50 million shortfall, and lawmakers need to find solutions. CPR's Jenny Brandine is here to explain the choices for lawmakers and for voters. Jenny, how did we get here?
Yeah, if you think back to 2022, voters created the Healthy School Meals for All program. It offers all Colorado students free breakfast and lunch, and it was funded by limiting income tax reductions for families making more than $300,000 a year. And it's been hailed a success. In one swift move, it eliminated some of the stigma that children from low-income families felt as they got these free meals. But the program hasn't raised enough money to cover the high demand. And as you mentioned, it was $50 million short last year, which represents about a third of the cost to provide free meals.
A third of the cost? Did lawmakers just get the math wrong, or were there other things involved?
Both, really. The main reason was far more kids took advantage of the program than anticipated. Plus, we've got higher food prices and changes to federal reimbursements. Those have also contributed to soaring costs.
So then what are lawmakers proposing to do?
Well, they've referred 2 ballot measures to Colorado voters this November, and voters will decide whether to approve either or both of these options.
So break down those options for me. What are they?
Okay, first, continue collecting taxes from taxpayers who earn over $300,000 a year and allow the state to keep more of that money and spend it on the meal program. Second, further limit the tax deductions those wealthy filers can claim. That would put even more money into the free meals program. And if voters pass either one, it would also continue to allow schools to buy food from local farmers and ranchers.
What if both of those options fail?
If the measures don't pass, it's likely not all schools would get money to pay for free lunches for all kids.
And then we have a risk of going back to the old days where there's stigma for kids who get free meals.
Yeah, I can't really answer how kids would respond to their classmates in the future, but some ideas floated have been, let's prioritize this program just for elementary kids. Another idea, allowing school districts to opt in or out, or making families earning above a certain amount chip in to partially cover those costs.
CPR's education reporter, Jenny Brandin, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
There are ways to prevent your home from burning down in a wildfire. We've known that for years. But the push to get more homeowners to take action has new momentum. That includes offering you money or lower home insurance costs to get you to lower your risk. CPR's Ishan Thakur is here to explain. Ishan, why is this momentum happening now?
So it's because suburbs and cities are experiencing way more wildfires. We used to think of the foothills or the mountains as the areas at most risk. They were in an area that's known as the WUI, the wildland-urban interface, and that's essentially where the forest meets homes or communities. But the WUI has really expanded down into the plains, and climate change is changing how often fires occur. So more of us are at risk. Here's how a fire expert at the University of Colorado Boulder put it to me. Her name is Jennifer Balch.
We need to stop thinking about fire as a problem that just happens out in the middle of the woods to thinking about our homes as fuels too.
And you can check out your community's risk at a website. It's called wildfirerisk.org.
That's wildfirerisk.org. And what is recommended to reduce your own risk, and is it required?
So Louisville, the site of the Marshall Fire, this enormous disaster, changed some of its building codes in December because of increased fire risk. But this type of work is not required everywhere. The absence of city and state codes is really tough because then it's up to homeowners to decide whether they want to do things like clear the 5 feet around their home, use less flammable building materials, or put fine metal mesh under their porch.
Fine metal mesh, what would that do?
So that's supposed to keep embers from going under your home. Embers are actually the main reason homes burn down. They can soar miles ahead of flames, and they can get into your home through attic or basement vents.
Okay, so I can go ahead and do all that, but what if my neighbors don't choose to do that? What happens then?
Exactly. You can reduce the risk of your home burning down, but your chances get a lot better if your neighbors, who might be just 5 or 10 feet away from your home, also take some of these mitigation steps. So I went to a neighborhood in Louisville where people were rebuilding after the Marshall Fire, and they were celebrating the fact that that entire neighborhood got a FireWise USA designation.
So just one more big, huge round of applause for this accomplishment.
Those neighbors hope that this designation is not just about safety, but also affordability. They hope insurers will reward them with lower rates since they've started to do some of this fire mitigation work proactively.
Tell me a little bit more about that. Right now, how can people get help financially to reduce their wildfire risk?
So the state has just passed a new law that should start mandating insurers to issue discounts to individual homeowners who take steps to reduce their wildfire risk. But that won't go into effect until next summer. Some areas, though, still have incentives right now. Boulder County, for example, has a $500 rebate to do mitigation work. They will also evaluate your home's risk for free if you live in the mountains or in the rural, more eastern part of the county. Also, some of this work doesn't have to be super expensive. You can clear debris from your gutter or your roof for pretty low cost.
Ishan, and really quick, let's remind people what is in the forecast this year in terms of wildfires and their severity.
The state's expecting an average fire season this year in most parts of Colorado. But normal still means around 6,000 wildfires.
Wow.
So we'll never hear about most of these. They're going to be in really remote parts of the state, but definitely some will be near towns and cities.
CPR climate reporter Ishan Thakur, thank you so much.
Thanks, Arlo.
When we think about Samba, We imagine the costumes, the rhythm of the drums, and of course, the dance. But Samba is more than that.
Because it's just not another sparkle dress event, whatever, here's your trophy and you win. It's an event where the community can get together to remember where Samba came from, that it does come from Africa and it does come from pain.
Last weekend, a new Colorado Samba king and queen were named during a showcase in Boulder. This is the second year for this event. It includes days of Brazilian dance workshops and its centerpiece, a performance with dancers from around the country competing to be a part of Samba royalty.
How's everyone doing tonight? Let me hear you.
Quebrina Josefina de Jesus is the founder and the artistic director of Samba Colorado. She created this event not only to celebrate the culture and the music, it's also to remember the dark history that led to its creation.
This show is about roots, it's about remembrance, it's about resistance.
Samba is a Brazilian musical genre and a dance style with its roots in the West African slave trade and African religious traditions, particularly of Angola and the Congo. Today, the Jesus provides a platform for everyone to express themselves using Samba.
Samba King Colorado 2025, Izzy!
Hello, my name is Israel Jimenez, and I am 44 years old from Denver, Colorado. Very, very inclusive community that I just adore, and I just want to help create events like these and just invite everybody, all my friends, to dance.
This year, Samba King Colorado 2025, Mena! Give it up for Mena, everybody!
Hi, my name is Amina Gawan, but most people call me Mina. I am from Chicago, Windy City. My Samba journey started very spiritually, so it's been quite the challenge to maintain that during practicing and training and trying to stay true to myself and stay true to the roots of Samba, because I think it's really important because it is something that is of African roots, but over years it has become a lot more commercialized, and as a result of that, we tend to see a lot of that Africanness taken out. So with me being someone of the diaspora, it was extremely important for me to tap into the spiritual side of Samba when I'm dancing, so that way I'm not so focused on steps, but feeling the music in that moment. I think anybody who is interested in Samba should try it.
At the end of the night, one of the event's organizers said the competition was ultimately not about winning. She said everyone is a winner because, quote, they had the courage to share their story on stage. And if by the end of this piece you're left wanting to dance, Samba Colorado offers classes every week in Denver. Reporting for today's show came from CPR's Stephanie Wolf and from the Colorado Capital News Alliance, which CPR is a part of with other news outlets that cover state politics. To support our collaboration and the reporting on today's show, consider making a donation. The link is in our show notes. I'm Arlo Perez Esquivel. This is CPR News.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Safeway. Save a trip to the doctor and let their pharmacists test and prescribe your medicines. From strep throat to birth control to UTIs and migraines. Stop into the store or schedule online at safeway.com/pharmacy.
Support for Colorado Today comes from Credit Union of Colorado. With access to over 30,000 ATMs and a mobile app, they're dedicated to offering the services of a big bank with a heart. Learn more at honestlygood.org.